We've been reporting for years the violence in certain black sections of Chicago is out of control. Last year, 386 African Americans were murdered in the Windy City, most by other blacks. Across the country, the black-on-black murder rate stands at 90%. In response to that, Illinois State Representative Monique Davis said this on the radio.
I'm going to tell you what some suspicions have been, and people have whispered to me. They're not sure that black people are shooting all of these children. There's some suspicion, and I don't want to spread this, but I'm just going to tell you what I've been hearing. They suspect maybe the police are killing some of these kids.
Joining us now from Chicago is Miss Davis. Do you regret saying that, madam?
Well, I didn't say it, Bill. I repeated what members of my community have said to me. And it is crucially important that people realize that that was not Monique Davis's statement. I was repeating what community members have said to me.
But did you not? You didn't say, but that's crazy, and they shouldn't even think this because that's not what's happening.
Do I have to say that? Do I have to say that?
Yeah, you do. Because it came across
that you
because here's why you have to say it for two reasons. Number one, you have credibility as an elected official, all right? And number two, people don't know where you stand. Are you buying that? Are you not buying that? Are you refuting that? I mean, that is destructive to the discourse. I mean, Chicago police, as you well know, are not gunning down black children. You know that, right?
Well, certainly they are not, Bill, but based upon the history of African Americans in this country and based upon the fact that 70% of the murders in Chicago are unsolved, 70% are unsolved. People are wondering what the heck is going on. Certainly Monique Davis, who is a good friend to the police, who support the police. I believe they're our first responders, and I respect that. But I have the right as a legislator to repeat what my community says to me.
Not if it's irresponsible, you don't. I hear a lot of irresponsible stuff, and I don't
think it was irresponsible.
You don't think it's irresponsible for a person to accuse the Chicago police force of gunning down children without a shred of evidence? You don't think that's irresponsible?
I don't think they said that. I said there was some suspicion that that could be occurring.
Suspicion, no, that's irresponsible without any evidence.
But you don't know what my response to my community was, Bill O'Reilly, because you were not there.
It doesn't matter. I know what you said on the radio in the full context of what you said. You didn't walk away from those comments. You didn't refute them.
I repeated what was said to me on a radio show in Detroit, never knowing it would get national attention. And perhaps I should not have repeated what many community residents have said to me.
And now we have common ground. You shouldn't have done it. So let's advance the situation.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Recently, Bill O'Reilly had an interview with Monique Davis. She's, someone who deals with the community within Chicago, Illinois. And, Bill O'Reilly is a dumb fuck. I would love to get in a boxing ring and beat the shit out of him because, like, every time I watch this guy, I get irritated by the statements and his way of thinking. I know we have the right to, think the way we want to think in this country and everything, but it's just this guy says things that are just ridiculous. And he tries to ignore the things that the people who carry on this thing we call white supremacy do in this country. Anything that the white folks do or that they might be doing to keep us in a permanent underclass. And when I say us, I'm talking about black folks. Anything that they do, he ignores it, but yet he'll go and he'll ridicule the black community. We just heard him the other day talking about quote-unquote black-on-black crime and how, black folks are killing each other. But when it comes down to talking about white establishments that keep us in these permanent underclass and continue to do things that destroy our community each and every day, it's okay. It's fine and dandy. Oh, you're ridiculous. You don't have any evidence, so it doesn't matter. And, we all heard about, what's going on in Chicago and, brother that's, from the Chicago areas, Brother Harvey. And, he talks about things that go on in Chicago. And, I've never been to Chicago. I heard it's a great city. I would love to go there one day. But, he said it. I have a relative that stays in Chicago. They've said it. And Monique Davis is reporting what the community is telling her, that a lot of these shootings that we hear about, and these killings that quote-unquote black people are doing to each other, are possibly not done by black folks. It's a high possibility that the police department are killing a lot of these people out here, these black people, and it's just being swept under the rug. And, you know, this is not too far of a statement. And Bill O'Reilly, his whole defense was, oh, there's no evidence to prove your statement, so why would you come on national TV and say this? Well, there's a lot of things within the government, within our community, within, the President Barack Obama, and so on and so on. Those people who have powerful positions to cause destruction or create change. There's a lot of things that go on within those organizations that we don't know about. There's no quote-unquote evidence, but it doesn't mean it's not going on. And, you know, I can relate to this because I do know that the police department do kill black people. They target black males especially, you know, just from living out here in L.A. You know, I can remember when we had the Bloods in the Crip, what did they call that? It was a peaceful retreat where the Bloods and the Crips came together. You know, I think it was at Leimert Park. This was back in, I think, 92, 93, right before I went back to New York. But, you know, they had a retreatment. They was calling, you know, stopping the violence. Everybody was getting along. You know, kids can walk down the street and, you know, walk in peace. They can walk to school and have to worry about, you know, being hit by a stray bullet or somebody banging on them on the way to school. And there was peace in the street for a minute. But what happened is you had a lot of LAPD that didn't like this. They didn't like black folks coming together and unifying to create something positive and to keep our streets safe. So what they do, they would take known gang members' cars, you know, maybe lock the gang member up or whatever, and when you get locked up, if you get locked up while you're driving a car or whatever, it's going to the impound. Anybody who, you know, has a driver's license knows that. So what they would do is they would take known gang members' cars, drive through certain, you know, areas that were known to be territory areas, and do drive-bys in these gangbangers' cars. So what did that do? You take a known Crips car and do a drive-by in the Blood area. What is that going to do? That's going to give the Bloods an insinuation, okay, these cats still going. You know, they still want to keep violence going on. So what does that do? That makes the Bloods retaliate. And then you got the Crips saying, wait a minute, we didn't do nothing to you guys. Why are you guys still continuing to do drive-bys and killing us and causing violence in our neighborhood? So what does that do? That makes the Crips retaliate. And there you go. You got the same static going on again, all because of these crooked ass cops we have out here in LA. So her statement, the community statement, is not too far off. You know, we do have these things that go on where you have crooked cops who kill black men, kill black women, and get away with it every single day. Plant drugs on them, all kind of shit. So, you know, for Bill O'Reilly to sit up there with his monkey ass and say, oh, it's not right to make that statement with no evidence, I think, you know, he needs to get his ass kicked and he needs to shut the fuck up with that bullshit, because he doesn't live in the black community and he doesn't know what goes on, what's the ins and outs and the outs and ins that goes on within the black community. So for him to make that statement about a black woman that is getting information from the black community, and for him to deny it and say, oh, you're wrong, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't be saying this and saying that, he's wrong for that. But, you know, that's all I want to say. You know, Bill O'Reilly, man, boy, if I ever get in the ring with you, I'm going to beat the brakes off of your ass. But that's all I got to say. You guys give me your feedback if you want. But, you know, we really have to investigate a lot of these crimes that's going on, because I truly think that a lot of the so-called Chicago violence that's going on right now, and it's not just Chicago. You got Philly's crazy, St. Louis, Oakland, L.A., certain parts of Atlanta. Violence is all over. It's just, you know, it seems like it's being targeted right now towards Chicago, aka what y'all would call Chirac. You know, everybody's targeting Chicago right now, but this shit happens all across America, and we really need to investigate this thing and start taking back our communities. But that's all I gotta say. I'm out. Peace.